Welcome to the Model Health Show. This is fitness and nutrition expert Shawn Stevenson here with my beautiful, glowing, fantastic, super smart co-host and producer of the Model Health Show, Miss Jade Harrell. What's up, Jade?
What's going on, Shawn?
How are you today?
Today I am extra-ational.
Extra-ational, huh?
Yes.
Okay,
Just
tell me about
a whole
it.
bunch of extra of me right now feels sensational. It's more extra than sensational, but it's certainly very,
I like
very
it. You
good.
can be a little extra,
I know.
from time to time. Well, you look so beautiful today. I just want to tell you that.
Thanks, Shawn. I feel amazing.
Yeah, you look fantastic.
I
You're
appreciate
glowing.
it.
Dig the dress. You got that flow happening.
Hey,
Looks so
now.
good. So everybody, thank you so much for tuning into the show today. We've got absolutely incredible guests for you guys today. And we're going to talk about greatness. We're going to talk about being the best version of yourself. We're going to talk about the things that are holding us back, oftentimes unconsciously, and how we can break through those things. And these insights are just dropping left and right, and it's incredibly powerful. But that's what you get when you learn from the top person in their respective field, and that's what we have for you guys today.
It's gonna be great.
But I've got some incredible news for you guys, and this is very, 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 very exciting for me, and I'm so honored and just absolutely thrilled to be able to share this with you guys. But the audio book for Sleep Smarter is now available.
Yes.
All right? You can go and grab, and I want to encourage you, please listen to this.
Right.
All through the travels, through the book tour, through all the media, I carved out that time and I made it an essential must to get in there and get into the studio and to record the audio book and to, of course, put our energy onto it, that good energy. And so a lot of things have happened and transpired, and it's taken me all over the place and soon to be all over the world. I've got some international stuff coming up that I can't share with you guys just yet, but I want to see this book bigger here right now. All right. This is something that's essential, and a lot of people need this. And this audio platform can be that no-brainer thing.
Right,
and of course, that's where we live. We live with that audio. So do yourself a favor. And if I've had an impact on your life today, head over right now because I want to break the internet. Let's go. Let's make this a #1 bestseller on audiobook. All right. So head over to Amazon.com and grab Sleep Smarter on audio. Get your audio copy. Or you can go to Audible as well. And that's who we have to deal with is Audible. And get your copy of Sleep Smarter on audiobook. And of course, bring the feedback on. But please, today, go and make that happen. If I brought value to your life, I promise you that this will be another great tool that's going to help to take your health and the people that you care about, their health to another level. So head over there, check it out, Amazon.com or go to Audible, and you can grab the Audible version all right, of Sleep Smarter. Incredibly excited about this.
I am very excited about that. That's my mode.
Yes.
We're in transit so much. Well, that's why, the show also, we hear often that it's doing so well because people can take it with them on the go or be able to just sit and absorb what information there is for us to get. But to have this as a resource, because now I can do the repeat thing, and go back. And there's a little function there where you can pull your clips out. If there's something that I need as an affirmation, that I need to repeat over and over again until it resonates and it's settled in my spirit, I can do that. So I'm very excited about this.
Thank you.
No, thank you. I know it was tough. To do in the midst of all that.
This
Shawn.
is how we can't, and this is so great because we got this guy on today, this incredible guest. I cannot go for second best. I cannot strive to give you something mediocre. I have to give you the very best of me every time out of the gate. I'm not going to come here unprepared. And I love that saying, it's really about staying ready, always being, photo shoot ready, for those people in the fitness business. But you bring that kind of mentality to everything that you do so that you can show up and bring your A game. No matter what's going on in your life, you tune in and focus in on executing on your job and doing something great, especially, and for me, the core of this is helping to serve other people and helping to bring some inspiration and some life-changing education to people in a way that makes sense, in a way that's fun, in a way that you walk away feeling smarter.
Absolutely.
Instead of like, I've got all these problems and there's no solution around. There absolutely is, but we have to start to look through new eyes. And that's really why I do what I do. But so
and
please
how
head
clever,
over.
sleep smarter, doing it smarter by getting
you know
that
what
out.
it is.
I know.
It's all together.
It
So
works out.
head over there, please, today, guys. Do it even right now. You can pause this and go grab it. Make it a must. Make it a mandate to grab your copy of Sleep Smarter on audiobook. All right. Now, also, yesterday, I posted on Instagram, I went a little ham sandwich in the gym. All right. So I had 2 of these 100-pounders, these dumbbells, getting my swole on, getting my Vin Diesel, getting my Morgan Free Gains on, getting my Forrest Pump on. And people was wondering, how are you doing that? You know, because I'm not nearly as heavy as these dumbbells that I'm throwing around. And of course, this is that work ethic, putting in the time, putting in the dedication to making it happen, but also securing those nutritional needs as well. And for me, for my pre-workout and for my post-workout, things that really help to fuel my body are coming from On It. All right. So my hemp protein, my hemp force protein, my Shroom Tech Sport, which is my pre-workout supplement. That's what I'm on. That's what I was using yesterday before I recorded those videos, and actually put that on the Insta stories, guys.
Right.
Holler at me on Instagram
Yeah.
and also on Snapchat as well. And so we've got cordyceps as the basis for that formula for the Shroom Tech. And just go to Dr. Google, type in cordyceps and athletic performance, type in cordyceps and endurance, and just be amazed.
Right.
Clinically proven. All right. So these are placebo-controlled, double-blind, that whole thing. All right. You can check out that this is legit something that has been used, first of all, thousands of years, but it legitimately helps to make your body function more effectively. And it's known as something that's more of a tonic or an adaptogen rather than something that's just pushing your body like coffee, right? I think caffeine is awesome, but it can keep stimulating your body. It's a nervous system stimulant, pushing that button down. You need to cycle it. You need to take some time off for your nervous system, your endocrine system, to sort things out, all right? And oftentimes when people are on this stuff consistently and they get off of it, get a little headachy, all right? Get a little achy,
shaky.
get a little achy, breaky heart going on. They get a little, the jitters, the coffee jitters, but also it can just be difficult. And also the digestion can slow down for some people.
There's headache, could come with many things.
Some people, that coffee is like their essential poop trigger, right? They need that coffee poop, right? So they can start to disrupt their digestion if they don't have it. So this is something that you can use on a continuous basis, and it's only going to do your body more good. So go to onnit.com. That's ONNIT.com/model. So that's ONNIT.com/MODEL. 10% off Shroom Tech Sport. You're also going to get 10% off the Hemp Force Protein, which is my post-workout a lot of times. Sometimes I have it before I work out as well. And they've got just so many incredible things. So head over there, check them out. Onnit.com/model for 10% off. Now let's get into the iTunes review of the week.
All right. This one is from Dollars and Cents. 5 stars. Keep inspiring lives. I've been listening to the show for about a year so far. The information is great, but the fact that you're an obvious family man that cares is even better. Your podcast has put me on a whole new level of health and fitness in my life. Since being a beginning listener, I've lost 30 pounds in all due to your advice for the masses. I share the information with others and refer them to listen to the podcast as well. Keep on changing and inspiring lives in a positive direction.
I love that. Was that name? Was it Dollars and
Dollars
Cents?
and Cents.
Yes, let's go. Thank you so much for leaving that. And what an incredible story and testimony for yourself.
Right.
And you should be so proud of yourself for executing, because it's one thing to just be aware that something can work. And that's something I just talked about also on social. I did a little story, an Instagram story, talking about one of our greatest weaknesses, one of our greatest mistakes that we can make in becoming the best version of ourselves is what I call know-it-all syndrome. All right? When you start saying, I know that, I know that, I know that, we need to check ourselves and catch ourselves, because as soon as you say, I know, you start to block learning. All right? You start to block learning. So we want to continue to be a lifetime student.
Sure.
And also there's a difference between conceptually knowing about something and actually knowing the thing. If you're not doing it, you don't know it.
Sure.
But if you're doing that thing and you're actually adding that thing into your life and making it a part of who you are, you absolutely know it.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to say it. You just show it with who you are.
Isn't it interesting how after you say, I know, or I know that, what comes quickly after is but.
Yeah.
I know that, but.
Oh, my goodness.
I know, but.
We got some
but
big,
if you're
big
doing,
butts.
there's some big butts, or you end up being a butthead. But the thing is, when you're saying I'm doing, or I am, or I'm searching and seeking, then there isn't a but.
Yeah.
There's a go. There's a toward that doesn't halt you.
And nobody better to help us to understand this at the highest level than our special guest today.
He's good.
Our guest today is Mr. Bo Eason. Bo Eason is a former NFL player, acclaimed Broadway playwright and performer, and presence/story coach to some of the most successful people in the world. His play, Runt of the Litter, which was written and performed as a one-man show by Bo, has toured over 50 cities nationally, and Runt of the Litter opened in New York to rave reviews. The New York Times named it one of the most powerful plays of the last decade, and it's soon to be adapted into a major motion picture. After seeing his performance of Runt of the Litter, Leonardo DiCaprio, shout out to Leo,
Right?
hired Bo to write a screenplay for his company as well. And today, Bo is one of the greatest stage speakers and speaker trainers in the world. His programs focus on helping you to effectively express yourself, perfect your own personal story, and truly step into your greatness. And I'd like to welcome to the Model Health Show, Mr. Bo Eason. How you doing today, Bo?
Wow, that's quite an introduction, Shawn. Thank you, man. Yeah, it's good to be here.
It's my pleasure, and I'm super, super excited to talk with you and to introduce you to everybody who doesn't know about you yet. I got to see you speak 2 times in a matter of like 2 weeks at Consumer Health Summit and then again at the Superhero Brain Conference, and just blew my mind. One of the most incredible performances I've ever seen. It's just too good. And so, man, I really want to start with your story because from childhood to, you had some big visions and application of those things that got you to the NFL. Incredible story. But rarely do you hear somebody going from the NFL to being a playwright, all right? Because I know that, especially being an athlete, when something happens and that's taken away from you, you kind of lose our identity. So can you walk us through that? How did you get from there to being where you are today?
Yeah, well, when I was 9 years old, I drew up a 20-year plan. I took some crayons and some school paper, and I wanted to be the best safety in the whole world. That's all I put on the plan. And I drew pictures of myself playing against NFL players. This is at the age of 9.
Wow.
So I kept that plan for 20 years straight. It was a 20-year plan. So the whole time, the whole 20 years, it looked like it was never going to happen because I grew up in a small town. I didn't know any pro football players. But I had my dad and I had my brother. Yeah. And my dad woke me up every morning at 5 a.m. and I would train. I would run backwards because if you wanted to be the best safety in the world, you got to be able to run backwards. So I did. And I did that for many, many years. And then it came for time for me to go to college, and no college wanted me. So there's 350 colleges in the United States that play college football. Not one wanted me. So I just went to a school called UC Davis, which was a Division II school at the time, and no scholarships. Basically, you're playing there for fun, It's a hobby. And I went there. They tried to get rid of me. They took away my uniform. And I just kept coming back. I just had to try to keep this plan alive as long as I could. And then in 1984, I was drafted in the second round to the Houston Oilers as a safety, and one of the best in the world, and got to play in the NFL for 5 years, and it was a blast, man. But the thing is I always tell kids this. They make dreams and they make plans, and they kind of hope that they work out. But I always say, look, it's going to look like the whole time, the whole 10, 15, 20 years, however long it takes, it's going to pretty much look like it's not going to work out until it does, until that day that it does. I think that most people think that when you see a pro athlete out there on ESPN or whatever you see them on, you think in your mind's eye that they've always been great. And that's never the case. All the greats that you see today really had to struggle and really had to battle. And that's usually everybody's course. And then Shawn, once football was over, I had 7 knee surgeries while I played.
Wow.
Then when it was over, I couldn't do it anymore. You're right. It felt like I fell off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
Because, the one thing that I was trained at to be the best at in the world was to run full speed and throw my head into other people's bodies. And, you get really good at that. If that's what you're focused on for 20 years, you get really good at something like that. But then you realize in the civilian world, that's actually against the law. So, yeah. So all I could picture, Shawn, was myself after football was over, running around in an orange jumpsuit because what I did best works really well in prison, but not so well in the civilian world. So it made me nervous, man. I was scared. I didn't know what was going to happen to me. And I figured one thing. I said, if I can learn how to express myself physically, like I know how to express myself physically on a field, but I didn't know how to do it in my regular life. I didn't know really how to talk or put words together and express myself that way.
Right.
And I figured if I could find a stage or a platform, something where I could let out all this TNT that I have inside my body that served me well in sports, but I was nervous about in the civilian world. I said, if I could find an occupation like that, then I won't have to go to prison, that's one good bonus. And number two, I could actually make a living. And I moved to New York City and started studying the theater because I figured if I could get my feet on a stage, that would be the place I'd learn to express myself and get this TNT inside my body out on a platform. Then I would be healthy and could actually, go on to a next career. And that's what I did.
Yeah, that's an incredible story. But right here, there's a great transition point because I'm curious right now. You worked your whole life with that plan that you wrote when you were 9 years old to get to the NFL. What was it that enabled you to be so great in being a playwright and a performer? What was that kind of catalyst early on? Because I know something had to put you on track. So did something happen? Did you meet the right person? What got you going there?
Yes. You're right. Your instincts are right on because it's always a person. And you don't need a lot of people. You need one. Yeah. And if that one's got the right voice and can actually speak you into existence and point in the direction in which you should head, and they're very smart, then all you do is I become a player. Yeah. I had a guy who everyone's going to know is Al Pacino. Al Pacino, you've seen The Godfathers, you've seen Serpico, the guy's one of the greatest actors of our time. When I got to New York City, I used all my energy that I could to study the stage, to study writing, performing, improv, and physically being on stage. And I was 27, 28 at the time. So I had already had a career where most of the kids in my class were like 18. So I went to all of them in New York and I said, every one of my classes, I said, okay, guys, listen up. Who is the best stage performer of our time? Who is that? And every kid in the class said, well, that's Al Pacino. This was about 1990. They go, that's Al Pacino. And I said, that's cool. Where's he? and all these kids were like, well, I don't know. He's Al Pacino. He's probably on a movie set or in a theater somewhere. And I said, well, that's cool because if he's the best of his time, I would like that mantle. And so he's the only guy to talk to. Because one thing I learned about being the best at something, like whether it's safety or whether it's stage performance, if you go to second best, they won't help you. If you go to the best, they help. And so I called my agent from football and I said, hey, I need to meet this guy, Al Pacino. I need to sit down with him and draw up the next 20 years. And within about 3 days, Shawn, I was at Al Pacino's house.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was so crazy because I remember it was during Thanksgiving. So there was snow all over the ground. And a car picked me up, took me to his house. And as I parked in the car pulled up in the driveway, I step out of the car. Al Pacino comes walking out of his house toward me. Well, I'm used to seeing him on a screen where his head's 50 feet tall. He was much smaller than I was anticipating, right? Yeah. And he comes walking toward me like this. Hey, Bo. Al Pacino. I'm like, yeah, really? No kidding. You're the Godfather, dude. And he goes, come on in the house. I know why you're here. Come on in. So I go in, and right when I walk in, there's a kitchen right there. And it's just like a Godfather movie. It's just what you'd think you'd see in Al Pacino's house. There's about 15 Italians stirring pastas, and they're making this feast, of pastas and meatballs and all these things. And no one's speaking English there. They're all speaking Italian. And Al Pacino says, Bo, come back to the pool room. So I go back to where he's got this pool table, and we played pool for about 3 hours, which I don't even know how to play pool. I was just smacking it. And he broke down my next 15 years. Yeah. He broke down exactly what I was to do if I was going to take the mantle from him.
So what does that look like?
And basically told me who to work with.
Yeah.
This is, if I broke it down to you in a sentence, Shawn, what he told me, what he broke down for 3 hours was this. He said, basically, your butt or your feet are going to be on a stage in this world somewhere for the next 15 years, more than any other human being for the next 15 years. And if you're able to do that and you work with these people, then you're going to be standing on top of the mountain, because it's a matter of repetition and time and commitment. It's a matter of 15 years. And at the end of that meeting, after the 3 hours were over, I shook his hand and I said, thanks, Al, man, I really appreciate this. I imagine that performers and actors come to you every day and say, Al, can you help me? And he said, actually, you're the first.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, and I couldn't believe it, And he goes, no, people come to me all the time, but they don't want to be the best. They don't want to master anything. What they want to do is they want to be famous.
Yeah.
Or they want me to put them in my movie. And he said, you're the first to ever ask me to master a thing. And so I went to work, Shawn. After that meeting, I went to work with all these teachers and all these people. And I basically put my butt on a stage for 15 years straight, more than any other human being could. And that's the one edge that I had, that I would keep showing up. That's all I had. I didn't necessarily have a talent for it, but I had a talent for showing up.
Yeah.
And getting my feet on a stage. And after about 15 years, I was standing backstage in New York City, about to run out on a stage, and I'm of a play that I wrote, and I'm the only guy in, and I'm about to take that stage. And the New York critics are in the audience, and I was so nervous, more nervous than I've ever been playing football. And I ran out and started doing the play. And after about 10 minutes, it was like an out-of-body experience, because I'd never done it before. After about 10 minutes, I make eye contact with a dude sitting in about row 5, right on the aisle, and it's Al Pacino.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen him for 15 years, hadn't talked to him. But we made eye contact, and this is all he did. We made eye contact, and he goes like this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it.
It's a gentle nod.
That was it. That's the best review I ever got.
Right.
I said, okay.
Right.
Incredible, man. Hey, we got to clap it up.
I just said, okay, the mantle is passed. Now it's time to keep working.
Yes, that's such an incredible story.
That's how I made the transition.
Wow. There's so much remarkable there. And I got hit with a really powerful lesson that I wasn't expecting, which is most people, he shared it with you, most people never ask. They never ask that great person how to be great. They're always just trying to pull from them.
Right.
And that should be a powerful lesson for us, is to present opportunity with skill and desire to be great, and not trying to take something from opportunity. Yeah. I think that's really important. And also, you said a word that tends to bother me. I think it's a great name for somebody, but hope, all right? Hope is very fleeting, and a lot of people rely on hope instead of a structured plan, instead of execution, instead of deciding to do a thing, instead of, I wish this would work out, I hope it does. but just executing and making that decision to stay firm and to stay pointing the direction of your goal no matter what, because stuff is going to happen. I'm sure a whole slew of things have happened through that process, but you stayed the course and through that. And I've got to ask you another question about this, because the best, you said the word best a couple of times.
Yeah, I underlined it. I even have it in my notes.
For some of us, that can make us uncomfortable. Can get a little uncomfortable. All right, get a little bothered. It can be a little bit threatening even. Why is it, in your opinion, and your very, very skilled and experienced opinion, that so many of us deny that greatness in us? You know, you've shared, and I've heard you share this a couple of times, that we start off in life as winners. Like, we start off with that, and then we start to settle. So can you talk a little bit about that and how we're really born into greatness?
Yeah, you know, you're right about the, you know, if you think back of the day that we were all conceived, there's one thing that happened on that day. And I take that event very seriously because of what happened on that day. So if you think back, like, primally, instinctually, the day that you and I were conceived, there were 300 million sperm released on that day, and you and I were one of them. So the odds of us even being born are 300 million to 1 odds. But so the first race that you and I entered, we're the champions of.
Yes.
So if I told you today, hey, if you want to win, you know, a gold medal in the Olympics, you can do it, but here's the odds against you. The odds against you winning that gold medal are 300 million to 1. Do you still want to get to work? And most people would say, no, I don't like those odds. And I'm thinking, are you crazy? You're already undefeated. You've already won that race. Why would you turn it down now? It's because once you're born, all you're taught your whole life is not to be the best, is to fit in and be mediocre and fit in with everybody else. And I say, no, if we're already born the best, then isn't that our birthright to fulfill on that in our lifetime? Another thing I've had my whole life, Shawn, is my dad. My dad was, you know, he was a rancher. He's a cowboy, basically, you know, but he was very smart in one thing. So I'm the youngest of 6 kids. And so I have 4 older sisters and an older brother. And every morning he woke us up, and he, you know, as a rancher, as a cowboy, he's on a horse all day. They wake up very early. So every morning at 5 a.m., he would rub our backs in our bed individually. So me and my brother slept in the same room. He would go to my brother's side. He would rub my brother's back when he was asleep, and he would whisper in his ear. Do you ever say foul language on this podcast?
We can edit it. It's PG.
Okay, I won't say it. But my dad, I don't know how your dad was, but I don't know the men of this generation. Every other word's like an expletive. It was like punctuation for him. So he would rub our backs. I'm telling you, we were kids, and he would whisper in our ear, "You're the best in there," and then he'd drop a gosh darn it right there. He'd say, "You're the best in there, gosh darn it," and he'd keep rubbing. He'd go, "Keep moving, partner. You're the best." Yeah. And I heard that my whole life, every single morning. Every time I got to bat in Little League, he would be standing behind the backstop with his dirty fingernails in the chain link fence, yelling, "You're the best in there," expletive, "Keep moving, partner, you're the best." All growing up, me and my brother would get so embarrassed that we would say, "Dad, you can't say that. You're alienating people, or, you know, you're embarrassing us." My first date, me and my brother's first date, Shawn, I couldn't even drive. I was like 15. My brother could drive. He was 16. We went to the movies with the Tomasini sisters, and their dad was the principal of our school. My dad took both of us around the neck like this and walked us out to the car with the girls. He walked out to the car, puts us in the car, and tells us in front of the girls that we're the best. And the girls are looking at us like we're weird, you know. I mean, my brother just like, "Dad, why don't you go back in the house? Because we're trying to go on a date, and you're telling us we're the best, and now it's weird." And that's how
incredible.
I've always been told that. And so I thought my job was to be the best in the world at whatever my dream was. So whether that's playing safety, or whether that's being a playwright, or whether that's being a performer or a speaker or a dad or a husband, that's how I'm going to play. Now, Shawn, I'm not trying to piss people off. I'm not trying to say, hey, Shawn, I'm the best, you're not. I don't do that. I know I want you to be the best too.
Yeah.
I want to raise the level, fulfill on our birthright so everybody plays at that level instead of playing down so that other people feel better about their lives.
You know, I was going to ask because I wrote down the words best and one and only as things that you put into place in your mindset, and that's where you focused your energy. I was thinking, man, this guy is so laser sharp. And the cool thing is, once you pinpointed, you had no problem going. That was something that was instilled and reinforced in your family. But even now, hearing that it came from your dad, what was remarkable to me as you shared your story was that if you didn't know what that point was, that destination was, you looked for it. You know, you went to those other students and you said, well, who is the best? You looked for, well, what makes the best to get into the NFL in the way that I want to? What do I need to do? And you would go for it. And I think the lesson for us all is if you don't know, discover it. And then, like Shawn said, that decision that is made is what makes a difference as opposed to a hope. Decide that course and go at it. And things do and will change. But if you then have to adjust, where is that new point of decision going to be for you with whatever circumstance is? You know, Bo, you ended up with a new set of circumstances with your knees and your career.
Yeah.
And so at that point, it was like, all right, well, where's my next destination point? And then I'll give it all in that way. And you found just the right match. What a great story to share for us.
Yeah, that's what all the listeners and all the viewers, you know, that's one thing I would always do. I'm very particular about this. What you're talking about is if you go to somebody who's kind of okay, they can't help you. It's not that they don't really want to help you because they think you're going to be better than them. And that's a problem. I got problems with people like that. So if you go to a lesser performer, lesser than Al Pacino, they won't help you because they don't want you to be better than them. Or they don't know how to tell you how to be the best. Well, a quick anecdote for that, guys, is this. When I got drafted into the NFL, there was a couple guys, defensive backs, that were faster than me. I was very fast, but there was a couple guys who could beat me. And I wanted to make sure that I had the most advantage. So I wanted to be the fastest defensive back in that league. So who do you think I thought of? Who did I think of to help me with that? I thought of the fastest man in the world. So at that time, 1984, Carl Lewis had just won the gold medal in the 100 meters.
Yeah.
He's the fastest man on the planet. So I went to Carl Lewis and I said, dude, I want to be the fastest. Can you help me? Will you help me? And the best, the fastest, the most talented always say yes. But here's what you got to do, and it ain't going to be easy. They always say that because they kind of want to scare you away, I think. It's going to be a lot of hard work. It's going to take you years, but you can do it, but you got to do what I say. And I'm really good at surrendering to the best and saying, okay, I'll be the player, you be the coach. I'll do what I need to do. I don't care how long it takes. If all of us did that, imagine the world we'd be living in right now.
Phenomenal.
It's incredible. You know, first of all, just a big takeaway here, so many takeaways, is we have to strive always to surround ourselves with excellence, you know, with great people, with the greatest people in their respective place. And so a lot of us might wonder, how in the world I can't get access to
Right.
such and such. He grew up like in a farm, all right? People from his high school, I think I heard your story, and it was like only 4 kids have gone to the NFL from your high school, and it was only during the time that you played. It hasn't happened before, hasn't happened since. It's because when you point your locus of focus on something, all of us have this incredible power of manifestation. It's not magic. It's just because your brain, literally the reticular activating system, your reticular cortex, It starts to seek out and scan your environment for solutions, for opportunities that you might not see if you're not tuned in and looking for that specific direction. This is built into our hard wiring. This is talking about evolutionary biology. Your brain, if you're looking for food to survive, it's going to scan your environment. It's going to find you food and put your body in presence of that thing. You know, because we're seemingly more evolved now, and we could talk about things like, you know, I don't know, buying a nice shirt or whatever. Higher quality issues, your brain is still having that same innate primal reaction, but you have to be clear on what you want, and you will get access to incredible people, like you're getting access in this moment to Bo Eason. And Bo, I want to ask you about something, because I know that there's more to the story here, and I think it has a lot to do with your rituals as well. So can you talk a little bit about rituals, how important those are, our habits for achieving the success that we really want?
Yeah, I'm a huge believer in rituals, routine, practice. But, you know, practice for my kids and for the people that I train and work with, that is the center of our universe. Practice, rehearsal, ritual. I've just always done it since I was a kid. I just figured, you know, like say, you know, when I wanted to be the best safety in the world, I knew, I don't know how I knew this, maybe it was just a primal instinct, but I knew that a safety, if I wanted to be the best safety in the world, that I had to be able to run backwards as fast as the fastest people in the world run forwards. I knew that was one skill I had to have. So every morning when my dad would wake me up, I'd be on that grass and I would be running backwards. Now, this was in the 70s and and then it culminated in the 80s. So, you know, nobody was running backwards. My friends were, if they were running at all, they were running forwards, and they would all laugh. And I'd go, no, I got this plan. I want to be the best safety in the world, so I got to go backwards. And I learned how to do it well. And I figured that no one else was awake, and I figured that no one else was thinking about going backwards. And that became this ritual that in my mind, I just couldn't see or couldn't understand anyone else doing. Same thing when I got to Al Pacino. He basically said I had to be on a stage rehearsing, practicing, training more than any other human being. I said, oh, that's something I can control. I can actually achieve that, because he said all I had to do was keep showing up. So I surrounded myself with the best trainers at physicality, at voice, at writing, at movement, and story, and got good. After 15 years of doing that, you understand who you are on stage in relationship to your audience. You really are, you know, well trained. So the one thing I knew I would do if I was going to be on stage is I was going to rehearse more than anyone else was going to rehearse. Again, that's ritual. It's ritual. All I'm trying to find, Shawn, from ritual and practice, this is what I'm always trying to find, is freedom. I'm searching for that place where that little click happens and this body is good to go. Football is the same way. If you look at the military, same thing. If you look at ancient, tribes, before they went to battle with the rival tribe, they're not just going like this. Hey guys, let's go fight these dudes over here. Okay, let's walk over and fight them. They don't do that. Football players don't go, hey man, let's go beat this team. Let's go. Okay guys, let's go. No one does that. They go through a ritual to get their body to fight. So that is a dance. That is war paint. If you look at football, it's the uniform, it's the eye black that goes underneath your eyes. It's the dancing in the locker room to get yourself activated. That's a ritual to get yourself ready to go. I don't think people do this enough. Yeah. You have to have a ritual and a practice before it's game time. Because look, everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to be great on stage or on the field, but no one wants to prepare to be great on the field or on the stage. No one wants to do that preparation or that ritual. I find that's where I get that freedom, and then that's where I'm able to perform the way I can.
I love it. I would love if you could share What's your rituals look like today? You know, what your habits look like. I'm sure, especially having kids, and shout out to all the parents out there.
Yes, yes.
You have to have structure, and I love how we've talked about this multiple times on the show, is that it's kind of counterintuitive that the more structure you give yourself, the more freedom that creates. It's very funny how that works. And you just said it, he's looking for freedom. And we haven't talked about this before, but we are on the same wavelength when it comes to this. So what does your morning ritual look like?
Yeah, my morning ritual, I usually wake up at 5 or at 6, depending on how the night before is. And it also depends on my kid, Axel. I have 3 kids, Eloise, Axel, and Lila, and they go from 12 to 9 to 7. And my son, who's 9, we've been on a ritual for about a year now. And we went on a ritual where we're waking up at 5 a.m. during the school year and then 6 o'clock during the summer. Because summer I need him to get that sleep so he can, reach his full height and potential of growth. So I'm letting him sleep until 6. Like, so this morning, for example, I'm up at 6. I'm making bulletproof coffee and I'm drinking my coffee. And then we have a great lady that works with us, and she cooks me and Axel some eggs, and we're out on the field. So because he doesn't have school now, we're out on the field, and then we're going through a prehab. So he's activating all his joint articulations, his feet, his shoulders, his glutes, all this. We go through this prehab to keep him healthy. And I go through it too. Then we go through a dynamic warm-up. So it's a lot of activation. I want the body, I'm big on this for all of us. I want the body activated and firing on all cylinders before I'm really interacting with people or getting ready to play my sport. Then right after the dynamic warm-up, the training begins. And usually that's with a trainer, like whether it's basket. So Axel's dream is to be the first guy to play in the NBA and in the NFL. So no one's ever achieved that dream before. So that's never been done. So there's no statistics that are made for that, right? So his ritual, and I'm usually there with him in the mornings, is either basketball. So it's a lot of skill development, a lot of ball handling, a lot of shots, very tough training. And then the other days, it will be football. It'll be more football-based, where you're battling, where you're breaking on the ball, where you're throwing the football, all those kinds of skills. Because in 12 to 15 years from now, so he's 9, so from 12 to 15 years, we know that he's going to have to go to a combine and perform certain things like the 40-yard dash, like the vertical jump, like the long jump, like the bench press. We know that he's going to have to perform that in 12 to 14 years. We're getting ready for that day. We're not going to be blindsided by that day like everyone else is. Everyone else goes like this: oh my gosh, the combine's coming up in 6 months. I better get ready for it.
Right.
And I say, you know what? You're late. You better get ready for it when you're 10 or 9 or 6.
Yes.
And so the middle of the day, Shawn, especially for him, is about recovery. We're big into recovery. A lot of cryotherapy, compression suit, massage, chiropractic. He has a lot of modalities he goes through to get that body ready for the next training. I do the same. When I'm speaking a lot, training a lot, I find that middle part of the day is that recovery time, whether I'm getting in an ice bath, whether I'm in a compression suit, whether I'm just taking a nap, sleeping. And then it's all about the nutrition and how good a nutrition you can get. And then, so that way we're going to get a second bite of this apple because of the nutrition and the recovery systems in place. And because we train so early in the morning, now our body recovers fully. We're ready for the second bite of that apple, which is the second training. And then, we get to bed at a reasonable hour, at least, for the most part of the year. But our summer, it's hard for us to get to bed, those kids to get to bed early enough, to get them up at 5 during the summer.
Yeah.
But that's kind of basically the ritual. I want to get 2 bites of the apple, of whatever that is. So for you, if that's writing, I want it in the morning, I want recovery, and then I want it later in the afternoon. And most people can't get that second bite because they don't recover. They don't know how to nap. They're not good at that.
Yeah. But there's so much great stuff here. Again, I keep saying that, but we just had a conversation recently with Jay Papasan, who's co-author of the One Thing, this mega hit book. And we talked about willpower is actually a nutrition issue, and so it's actually clinically proven that the more decisions you make, the more creativity, the more you put into something, it starts to lower your blood sugar and your ability to actually make a decision to do the thing that you want to do. So we have to make sure that we're fueling ourselves optimally. And I love that. We're on the same page with a lot of stuff. But I'm curious, and there's a lot of other things that I want to talk about. But first, guys, we're going to take a quick break, and Bo is going to talk to us about our biggest enemy, our greatest enemy, on our mission to become the best version of ourselves. So he's going to talk about that right after this break. I've been battling something for many years, and that is how to fortify or to make sure that I have an insurance policy with my health. And for a lot of us, we're marketed to that we should pick up a, quote, multivitamin. And I remember when I was a kid taking those Flintstone vitamins, they were delicious, but was I really getting any nutrition from those bad boys? And fast forward to today, and we have the Centrums of the world and the men's and women's multis. And a lot of people are buying into this billion-dollar industry, not realizing some of the big mistakes that are happening with those purchases. Number one, this industry is not very regulated. So we have to be mindful of that. What's in the pill might not actually be in the pill. All right. So we have to pay attention to that. Number two is the processing of those nutrients. We're talking about when we buy a multivitamin from a conventional company, we're getting a substance that has literally been isolated as a chemical compound in a laboratory, right? It's not a food-based nutrient. So do your cells even recognize that? Is it simple chemistry that if there's vitamin C supposed to be in this pill, that your body's actually going to take it on? Well, I'm going to argue that no, it's not going to. You're going to have a greatly reduced ability of assimilation when we're throwing our money basically out the window buying those multivitamins. And I know you've had this happen where you buy a multivitamin and then your pee is like some Ninja Turtle color, all right? Some weird neon yellow secret of the ooze. And it's like, what is that? Am I dying? No, you're not dying. Your body is basically getting rid of some of those compounds that it's just tried to take on. And also there are some compounds in the pill that are nourishing your body for sure. There's a couple that are doing that, but overall, it's not the best idea. So what do we do? What do we turn to? Well, personally, I make it a must, and I tell every single person that I come in contact with that they absolutely have to get themselves a green superfood blend. And my favorite is Organifi green juice. It is the best tasting because I've experimented with a lot of the green powders out there. It's the best tasting green powder that I found, and it is loaded with nutrition. I'm going to share a couple of things with you that I really enjoy. So number one, it has organic wheatgrass, super loaded with micronutrients and phytonutrients and these really incredible minerals and trace minerals that add a lot to our health. But really, who's going to guzzle wheatgrass? All right. It's not going to be an enjoyable thing. I used to actually go to the juice place and grab a little wheatgrass, and I tricked my mind into thinking, I can taste a little sweetness in there. But every time I drive past somebody who freshly mowed their lawn, I'd start to gag. All right. And I don't want that to happen to you. So it's put into Organifi as one of the hallmark things. Also, we've got organic spirulina. And as you know from listening to the Model Health Show, I'm a big fan of spirulina, the highest source of protein of any compound in the world by weight. So it's about 70% protein by weight. And humans have been consuming this for thousands of years. And there are some really interesting compounds in there you're not going to find anywhere else, like phycocyanin, which has a great impact on your stem cells. All right, so stuff like that, really seemingly magical food compounds are found in spirulina, and spirulina is found in green juice from Organifi. Also, they've got the ashwagandha for stress relief. They've got turmeric, which is one of the most powerful anti-inflammatory compounds you're going to find. But here's the great news about this. It's processed with care and consciousness. It's a gently dried superfood blend that's retaining all of those nutrients that you're really going for when you're trying to get a, quote, supplement to supplement a great diet. So remember, food first, juicing is amazing, but you can get a lot of those nutrients you're looking for in your fresh made juices by consuming the green juice from Organifi. And by the way, I'm a big fan of juicing. I've been juicing for about 10 years now, and it's one of my favorite health practices. But seriously, who's going to clean the juicer for me? You know, if you're going to come over and do that, it would make my life a whole lot easier. Nobody really likes to clean the juicer. And what we want to do is make sure that, yes, we don't want to stop juicing, but those times when you're in a rush, or those times when you know that, hey, I really need to fortify my nutrition, make sure that you're turning to Organifi's green juice blend and just throwing that into some water even, and you're going to deliver a lot of those micronutrients and phytonutrients and trace minerals and minerals, vitamins into your cells because it's retaining those nutrients because it's properly produced. And I love those guys, and they've actually given us a great, amazing offer as a sponsor of the Model Health Show. So if you go to Organifi.com, and that's Organifi.com, and use the coupon code MODEL, you're going to get 20% off your first purchase of Organifi, and they're going to send you a free copy of my best-selling book, Sleep Smarter, for the first 450 people. All right, so the first 450 people, not only are you going to get yourself this incredible green juice blend from Organifi, but you're also going to get yourself a copy of Sleep Smarter. And if you already have a copy, this is going to be a great gift for a friend. For those people who don't have a copy yet, first of all, what are you doing? Let's go. You need to make sure you have your copy. But Organifi has been gracious enough to send you a free copy of the best-selling book. So head over and check them out right now. Organifi.com. That's Organifi.com. And use the coupon code MODEL, that's MODEL, at checkout for 20% off your first purchase. Now, back to the show. All right, we are back, and we're talking with Bo Eason, the man, former NFL player, top playwright, top stage performer, one of the greatest speakers I've ever seen, hands down, just incredible, and sharing his wisdom with us. And one of the last things he was talking about is how we all kind of get to this point where it's like, well, I better get ready, you know, where in my opinion, it's if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready, you know, and living our life like that. And also one of the things he talked about was rituals and discipline and how that creates freedom. And there's a great quote from Paulo Coelho that says, discipline and freedom are not mutually exclusive, but mutually dependent, because otherwise you'd sink into chaos, right? So when you're thinking about discipline, like instilling some discipline and structure in your life, it can sound like it's something that's going to hurt you. You know, especially when you're not as wise, especially when you haven't gone through some things and understand that all this seeming chaos coming at me is actually my doing. Right. So it's not a dirty word. It's a beautiful word. Discipline comes from the word disciple, which really means, if you drill down even further, becoming a disciple of yourself and becoming as great as you can be, having the discipline to do that.
Absolutely.
And
love
so
that.
I want to talk about the big enemy to this. So, Bo, you talk about our greatest enemy in our life. So what is that?
Yeah, I'm always, and I would advise everyone to do this. Look, the bigger your enemy is for you, all of you, the bigger your enemy is, the more impact you have. My enemy is mediocrity. So, you know, what does that look like? I have to look around and I have to say, who's actually promoting mediocrity? Who's actually saying that's the way we're born to be mediocre? I just don't believe in that. Instinctually, I don't feel that. And yet everywhere you turn in our world, whether it's, you know, the media, Hollywood, Washington, D.C., leadership in general, corporate world, education system is all promoting mediocrity, is all promoting average. Hey, let's be average. Hey, if you make it to, that's the average. That's great for you. You're average. As if, you know, that's a good thing. I also when I study my enemy, I look at the terms that come out of their mouths. What terms come out of the mediocre mouths? Oh, here's a couple terms. It's not your fault. Well, we just play for fun. They say things like that. They say, it's not important that you be great. It's important that you have friends. It's a whole promotion, and you're sitting there as a human being listening to them say that, and this is how you're being taught, this is how you're being indoctrinated, and you're nodding your head like this. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm a nice guy. I'm not, I rather choose effectiveness over popularity every day of the week. Typically, we choose nice or popular rather than effectiveness. But you tell me, in life and death circumstances, do you choose to be nice, or do you choose to be popular, or do you choose to take care of business?
Yeah.
I prefer to take care of business. So if we had firefighters, running into the building right now, I don't care if they're nice. I don't care if they're polite. I don't care if they're trying to be popular. I want the fire out. I want to get people out. That's how you have to treat your life. Your life is no different than a firefighter or a Navy SEAL. We live in the same kind of life and death circumstances. I treat it very seriously. There's a reason that somebody makes it all the way to the top in the firefighting and the special forces and in athletics. They don't mess around. They are trained to be the best in the world at what they do. They don't apologize for that. And that's what this world needs more of. We got plenty of mediocrity. We got plenty of participation ribbons. We don't need it. We don't need participants. We need players, top players, people who are dedicated to fulfilling on the birthright of being the best. That's all we need.
Yeah.
That's we're just so short of it. And once you let people know that that's actually okay, I actually have to tell my kids, this is what mom and dad expect of you. We expect you to be the best in the world, not today. You don't have to be the best in the world today, but that is your aim. Yeah. That is your 20-year plan. So whatever your dream, whether it's ballet or ping pong or swimming or the performer on Broadway, we're striving to be the best in the world at that thing, and you've got 12 to 15 to 20 years to do it. And because what does the rest of the parents say? Now, what do the rest of the parents say? They go like this: well, if just play and see how it goes. We don't see how it goes. We know how it's going to go. We know how it's going to, right? We don't see how it's going to go.
I love it.
And I'm not saying that my kid has to be the best now. He's 9. He doesn't have to be the best athlete on the planet today, but his aspirations and his training schedule is equivalent to the person who's going to be the best in 14 years.
Yeah. What this really goes back to, there's so much good stuff again here, but I keep saying that, but Malcolm Gladwell, 10,000 hours, putting in that time in that direction. And I think that you're pointing out something that this might ruffle some feathers. And if it's creating any kind of irritation in you, you might want to just check in why. Ask yourself why. Why is that?
Lean into that discomfort a little bit.
Why is this bothering me? What kind of paradigm is he tapping up against that might be withholding something from me, that might be keeping me in limitation? And what I'm so excited and so grateful to have you on to talk about this is that, so often we aim so low. We aim so low in our life because that's what we think we're capable of. And what I really want to inspire people to do is to think bigger than you ever have. Think greater. Go outside of your paradigm, because all of the great people who've graced this planet, they saw what other people didn't see. You have to see the invisible to do the impossible. So having that audacity to see something outside of your normal circumstances and focus on, I'm going to be the greatest. And I guarantee you, even if you don't end up at that destination, you're going to get so close, way closer than you would have been if you just said, I want to be all right in this. Sure. I just want to get by. I just want to do a nice job.
Sure. So what I hear in that too, though, Shawn, and I'm glad that you're speaking on this. We see what's invisible because we put so many other things in our sight. We make things around us and other people and their achievement, the things that we see, that blocks that space to create the thing we're talking about, the possibility of something original for us. So we're measuring, that goes even more into the 10,000 hours and the 12 to 14 years, that it's not going to happen overnight, and it's not going to happen like the one that we're seeing on a piece of paper or on a screen somewhere.
Yeah.
It's going to be, we need to pull those out of our vision, out of our sight, so that we can actually hone in and go the distance on the path that's for us.
Thank you for that. And Bo, I've got a question for you, and I'm really curious to hear your answer. What is a character trait that you think we need to develop? And first of all, I think it's really foresight, and playing the long game is part of it. But through those trials and tribulations, through the things that come up along the way, what is a character trait that you think that we all need to have to keep moving forward in that direction of being the best?
Yeah. One thing you definitely have to have is you're going to fall off the horse. I do almost daily, right? You got to understand that this is part of the game. It is a game. This is the problem most people have. So say you and me, Shawn, make a 20-year plan today, right? And we're going to be like in the best shape in the world that we've ever been in 20 years. So I'm going to be 75, right? So I'm going to be in the best shape. So tonight I go out drinking with the boys, right? So now I am not on that commitment, aren't I? I fell off the horse. Most people do this. Oh man, I can't do it. I'm out. I'm quit.
Yes.
And they quit because of shame, because they don't think they can come through for themselves, and they quit due to shame. That I'm not shameful about my mistakes and my mess ups. And when I fall off the horse, the one thing I'm really good at is going, boy, I was really off course yesterday, wasn't I? I woke up at like 8:30. I ate like crap. I didn't train. Guess what I'm doing tomorrow morning? Back on the horse.
Yeah.
So say this happened for 2 days. I'm still not ashamed. I'm like, Bo, you're a human being, dude. You messed up. You're good. Still love you. Let's start day 3. Let's get it. We always have tomorrow morning. The problem is people quit too early because they don't think they can keep a promise. They don't think that when you make a commitment, everyone thinks it's supposed to be pure and clean for 20 years. There's no way that can happen.
Yeah.
Don't expect it to. Your kids can't keep it either. I remember my son, we cut out sugar, right? So we cut sugar out, and me and my wife were so proud of him. Like, a week goes by and he hasn't eaten any sugar, and we're like, this is the best son ever. This dude is the best. It was during Christmas time. So we surprise our son at his Christmas party at school. So we just walk on campus. We're walking over to greet him because we knew that he wasn't going to eat the sugar at the party. So we were bringing him non-sugar type stuff, right? I swear, this is so funny. Me and my wife walking up all proud of our sugar-free son. And we get there and he's buried face deep in frosting. And you know what I mean? And he lifts his head and sees us walking toward him with all his classmates around him. And he can't wipe the frosting off his face fast enough. Right? And now me and my wife start cracking up. We go, the first thing we could have done as parents was made it shameful.
Right.
Like, you're a loser. You can't keep a promise. You can't keep a commitment. You fell off the wagon. Your 20-year plan's never going to come true. We could have done all that. And then he would have quit his dreams. Instead, we cracked up. We had a good laugh. We said, it's all right, because there's always tomorrow morning.
Yes.
We're going to start again. That's how I want all of you to think about your plans. And think about it like this too. Get rid of those timelines. I know everyone's got these crazy timelines like, hey, if I'm not the best safety in the next 2 years, I'm going to quit. I'm going to see how it works out for 2 years. Well, I can promise you right now that you're not going to be the best safety in the world in 2 years. That's going to take 12. So get used to falling off the horse and then re-engaging the next morning.
Love it. Love it, man. Such a great story.
That's
Well,
wonderful.
Bo, I've got one more question that I want to ask you, and then could let people
Okay.
know where to get connected with you. What is the model that you're here to set with the way that you're living your life? What is the example that you're here to set for everyone else with how you're living your life, including for your kids? What is the example you're here to set?
Yeah, you know what I think it is? God, it's a great question, and it makes you like really take a look at your own life and go, wow. I didn't set it out to be this way. But I think this happens to be true. And I think it just happens to be something we're really committed to is my relationship with my wife. That's really the key.
Yeah.
And you know, I heard a stat the other day, and we live in California. I heard a statistic, and I don't even know if this is true. You might know this. I heard that 75% of the marriages in California end in divorce. Wow. So imagine those numbers, 75%. So that's basically a throwaway society. That's basically making a promise in front of God or whoever you're believing in. You're making a promise, and then you're breaking that promise like, yeah, it was a promise, but I can get rid of it. It's temporary. 75%. My relationship with my wife, that is really the key element for my kids and for everybody who surrounds us, our community. And you know what else, Shawn? I didn't know this to be the case, but often I ask people who work with me, clients, year-long clients, who, it's expensive. So, they're paying a lot of money, and we become friends over the year, and I get to know them socially, and I go, hey man, just so I know, why are you working with me? What is it? And they never say, oh, Bo, you're great. They never say that. They never say, oh, I think you're really a good trainer. They never say that. They always say, it's your relationship with your wife and your partner.
Wow.
I like that 1 + 1 = 1,000 instead of 1 + 1 equaling less than 2. You know what I mean? Like most relationships, you put two people together, it equals less than the two. Where my belief has always been, I'm not going to partner with anybody. I'm not marrying anybody who isn't in this relationship committed to making my dreams come true. So that is her complete commitment. Her job and her own, one of her main job is to assure that my dreams come true. And it's a promise, and it is a day in battle to do it. And my promise to her is to make her dreams, the visions that she has for her life and our lives as a family, come true. And that's how we've built our business, and that's how we've built our family, and that's how we've built our social friends, based on our promise to allow their dreams to come true. No different than my dad did for us. He saw greatness in us that we could not see for ourselves. We were too young and we couldn't see our own greatness. And he kept pointing it out until like I was about 40 years old. And I was like, well, maybe he's right. Maybe I'm here to be the best. Maybe he's right about this. And I just lived into what he saw in me and what he spoke into existence. That's what my wife and I do in our relationship. And that's what we build as a family, and then extend that out to our community. And then we extend that out to the people that work with us. Yeah. And it's funny. And I didn't know that would be the most attractive thing. Yeah. I thought it would be like my talent, but it turns out I don't really have that much talent, except I don't leave. I don't go anywhere. Mm-hmm. I hang in there.
I love it, man.
That was your number one.
Yeah, that's the number one most influential thing that I talk about is on our success and on our health is our relationships. And that's the first time I got that answer of all the times I've asked that question about what the model they're here to set. And for you, it's your relationship. And people can see that firsthand. Definitely check out Bo's incredible YouTube channel. He's got so many awesome videos. And Dawn is going to be in quite a few of them as well.
Yeah.
And they've got this dynamic space where they work. And she was even there, of course, before we started the show today, making sure you were good to go.
You know,
Yeah.
and he said the same thing that you said also in making amazing relationships.
Yeah.
Your number one thing is to help them fulfill their number one driving force.
Yes. It's that
It's a
team
part
effort. It's
of
that
that
dynamic.
formula, yeah.
I'm helping you to fulfill your dreams. You're helping me to fulfill my dreams. Fantastic. Bo, please let everybody know where they can connect with you, where they can follow you on social media. Where can people find you?
Yeah, my website is boeason.com. So that's BOEASON.com. You know, my wife and I, we do about 12 events a year. We train people. And, you know, most people, when they come, the one thing they want to know, Shawn, is like, how do you do what you do on stage? Can you teach me that? Just like I went to Al Pacino, just like I went to Carl Lewis. I said, look, if you're the fastest, if you're the best, can you show me how to do that? Yeah. And that ends up being what we train people to do is how to get on stage, how to be in front of a camera and speak their vision physically. So I bring in, Shawn, you'd love this. I bring in the guys who trained me how to do this on stage, like my physical coach, presence coach, you know, those coaches. And I bring them into my events and they help me and my wife train the group. And so that you're leaving there with your personal story and the physicality of that story, which is really crucial. And so that's what we train people to be. And then I have a program that you guys will love called The Best. Yeah. And that's it, The Best. And every filter leading to that program is you either have to be the best or that must be your aspirations. And anything, if there's food involved, if there's meetings involved, if there's conversations involved, that's where that program starts. It has to jump over the hurdle of being the best or aspirations thereof.
Fantastic. Everybody, I definitely highly recommend checking out Bo's stuff. And whether your aspirations are to speak on stage for a speaking event, or to be an actor, or to be speaking to an army of children, you know, as a leader of your household, or speaking in front of your fellow employees, his skill set is so valuable in so many other things in your life. And for me to see it firsthand, how dynamic he is and how he uses his body to express. And we're very visual creatures, you know, and this is how he would tell stories and communicate forever. Mm-hmm. And we've seemed to lose a little bit of that because of our scrolling down our phone. I don't know what it is, but he's helping us to get reconnected to that. And I just want to thank you so much, Bo, for being the man you are, for paving the way, for having the audacity to say that I'm going to be the best and to walk in that direction. Is incredibly inspiring. I just want to thank you so much for coming on. Yeah,
thanks, Shawn. Thanks for having me. And it's always great to connect with people who have the same vision. I just think when I'm out in the world, you know, you're always bumping into, those knuckleheads who don't believe that they're 1 in 300 million, you know?
I love it, man. Thank you so much. Champions. And everybody, thank you so much for tuning into the show today. Remember, our greatest enemy towards greatness is mediocrity. All right. Mm-hmm. Strive to be the best version of yourself. Strive to be the best possible person in whatever respective field that you choose. I don't care if you're 12 years old listening to the show right now, or if you're 70 years old. All right. You've got that room. You've got that time. And I promise you what's so interesting. And, you know, one of my great mentors right now, he's 84 years old. He's about to be 84 years old. And he still has a plan. He has a 100-year plan. Mm-hmm. It's so funny how he's still active and still, like, every day he's getting up, he's creating. Yeah. He has purpose. He's walking in the direction of his plan. You have to have a plan, and every cell in your body is going to be orchestrating and working together to help to bring you there. But you have to know where you're going. All right. And you get to choose that. All right. We have to get away from the fear, get away from the limited thinking. What is the thing that you truly want to do? You know, start to ask that question. If it doesn't pop right out, just do some experimentation. You give yourself permission to experiment. You know, take a couple classes here or there. Maybe it's a dance class. You know, like, I've been wanting to dance. I seen Beyonce, and, you know, I want to do that thing with the, you know, whatever it might be. You know, take some classes. Tune into stuff online. We have access to great people, you know, the greatest people in their respective fields today. through the internet, which is another way you can connect with Bo. But also, I would highly recommend anything that you can get involved with him, definitely do so. So everybody, thank you so much for tuning into the show today. Remember to put your rituals, that structure, create that structure in your life to give yourself more freedom. I appreciate you so much. So many amazing shows coming up, so many incredible guests. So make sure to stay tuned. Have an amazing day, and I'll talk with you soon.